The principle for the evening is that love cuts through all fear, giving us, of course, the ability to not only face external situations with courage, but also face ourselves with courage, face our memories with courage, face our past with courage, face the people in our lives on the present plane with courage. You dig what I'm saying? So we can have the courage as long as we have the love, because love cancels out the fear. So now courage becomes like a natural sense. It just becomes, courage is a name that some other people give to you for real. They'll say you're courageous, but really you were just following love. Ooh, okay. So that's our principle for the evening. What is the pattern? And when we talk about the pattern, we're talking about what is that thing that what causes the problem in the first place. So like, see, once I understand the principle of something, I don't need a whole bunch of extra lessons. I can basically apply that principle and I can find my own way. Once I understand the pattern behind something, well, now that enhances my capacity for recognition. Once I can see pattern recognition, once I can see a pattern and I know what it is, I can interrupt it. Oh, okay. So what's the pattern behind tonight's phenomenon, behind this feeling of being unheard, right? Janelle was, that was what she was presenting with us tonight. So that feeling of being unheard, of being voiceless, of feeling like people weren't quite protecting her in the way that she wanted to be protected. But then also understanding that, well, they were just doing the best that they knew how to do. But I'm like, okay, what's the pattern behind the very feeling, the very emotion, the very sentiment that I'm feeling voiceless, feeling like I don't have a voice? What's the pattern behind all of that? What's the pattern? What's the pattern? Hmm. Okay. Okay. This new format that I've been doing with the Breakthrough Live is I don't know the principal pattern path. And so when something's coming to me, I'm like, all right, so this is what is coming. It's the idea that voicelessness comes from identity constriction. Voicelessness comes from identity constriction. That when we feel voiceless, when we feel like We don't know our own sound, our own voice. Really, what we're saying is we don't know our own self. We don't know the self. That feeling of voicelessness, it comes from a sense of restricting the identity so profoundly that we forget what we ourselves are truly asking for. We forget what we ourselves are actually guided to say, guided to do. The identity restriction follows too, because like the voicelessness identity constriction, like if we allow other people to silence us, then we're also allowing them to define us because we don't get to speak our possibilities anymore. They're speaking our possibilities. They're giving us the range of behaviors that we can happily participate in or be banished, be outcasted, whatever the case is. If we assign our ability to speak our own reality to somebody else, if they take our voice, they take what we can say. Take the world that we could build. Take out our possibility of self. And we allow them to because we don't think we're big enough to speak up. We have this identity constriction. They've constrained the person that we believed we could be. They said, oh no, uh, uh, you need to go get a more satisfying career that's going to be a little bit more financially lucrative. I don't know how many times people told me to go be a lawyer instead of a scholar. Don't do the PhD. Just go get a law degree. For somebody else, like Janelle, that could look like, hey, you don't need to spend time doing all this, doing hair. You need to go get you something that's going to be real. It's going to be stable. It's going to be secure. And once people are able to define the little box, once they take away our capacity to speak our own possibilities, they put us in a little box. See if y'all can see that. They put us in a little box. And instead of being this massive thing, that's a person inside of there. Now we just get to be whoever they said we were. We don't get to speak a new reality because there's no one who's supporting it, no one who's allowing it. And so we get this voicelessness from this identity constriction. Once somebody has constrained our possibilities of self, we don't have all this to say anymore. We only got what this tiny self can say. We only got what this tiny self can say. And so our pattern here is that voicelessness comes from that identity constriction somewhere along the way. Someone decided that because they could not see the possibilities for our life, that those possibilities were not possible. And that in order to create the safety that they believed we needed, they assigned us the comfortable path. And that's only a problem if we believed them. So you only give the voice up when you believe them. We give that voice up when we believe them. And we only believed them because we didn't have an expanded sense of self. You understand that identity constriction originates that voicelessness. And so if our principle tonight is that love cuts through fear, and our pattern, the place where we run into trouble, is that the voicelessness, our sense of voice, our sense of voice is connected with our sense of self. And that only a person who thinks of themselves in a small way, whose identity has been constricted, can also have their voice restricted. Similarly, when somebody has lost the capacity to speak a new possibility for their life, they are not operating from a supreme frame, they're operating from a limited frame, from a constricted identity. Okay, that's the pattern. So now we need to talk about the path forward. What actually even solves this? The identity constriction you could think of as we restrict our identity when we want that safety, we want that security. So now there's fear that's restricting our identity. That fear, that identity constriction makes us vulnerable to seeking comfort instead of seeking our own true authentic expression, our own true authentic voice.